All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Um, let me see. Oh, let me turn the audio off. I'm getting audio feedback over here on my other device. Sorry about that. All right. Sorry about that. Welcome, everyone. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I see my Empire Newest. I see you. Welcome. I see Miss Denise Mobley. Welcome as well too. Well, good to have y'all back. Some people they've been in a little turmoil. Some people have been very happy. Some people have been not so happy. But I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and welcome to this evening show. Had a good time. Did take last week off just because, again, it was election time, and I wanted people to be able to exercise whatever in whatever way method in that they chose to do so. Also had a little family in town, so I wanted to spend some quality time with them. And today, I went with the kind of downplay look. I don't really do the graphic tees like our guest or our case study for the evening, but just went with the tee and the overcoat because it's more like laid back, down, relaxed type of look. And so here's the interesting thing, right? Because when I come here, I always do like, what is this end of the day? What is it that I'm going to wear? And this was a bit of a challenge because, you know, I was like, okay, what would Elon Musk wear, right? And maybe I should have did Iron Man or Robert Downey Jr. But anyhow, he has he has this fragrance called burnt hair, and allegedly that's what it smells like. It's kind of a parody, if you may, on what that is, on what that would look like, what that would smell like. So I don't have anything like that. So I just like what is something that I could go. So my scent of the day is Nasamato, and this is Duro from Nasamato. Now I really like this. Now you may see this right here is it's in a little bottle here, but a little bit goes a long way. This has it's a high level of oil concentrate, so two sprays and you're good to go. And it's gonna last you all day, last you a long, long time. It is a leather musky type smell, which I really enjoy. Where I'm at in the world, we having a little bit of cooler weather, and so, yeah, that's what I rock with this evening. So, Nasamato Duro. All right. And so, we're going to go ahead and talk more a little bit, get into the topic, because one thing we talk about is, standing on business, failing, and then getting to the place where you can take ownership of yourself, your image, and if some people say give them the finger, that's what they choose to do. A lot of individuals, when they're starting out, they're finding themselves. They may get criticism from individuals who don't like their work, don't like some of the things that they're doing. But you have to learn, grow, and keep growing and perfecting your skills, right? And so one of the things that I'm really excited about talking about this individual, yeah, he's a little bit of controversial. He's a little eccentric. He's a little out there. But what I really like is, he's had some failures. He's had some things that people have criticized him for, but he's someone who constantly learns, constantly makes adjustment, and does those type of things as well too. So we're gonna get into this here in a second. Let me go ahead and put the Cash App here on the screen for those who want to donate and support the channel. Also, for those of you who want to get your questions in, definitely feel free to go ahead and do that. Let's talk about what I do. I'm Eric Hall, your success concierge. And what I do is I help individuals and businesses maximize the ABCDs of image so that you can make a good first impression and maximize your outcomes. And that keeps you from missing opportunities, your customers going elsewhere, your opportunities going elsewhere. Because as they know, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So I want to make sure that we're putting your best foot forward and putting you in your best position to win. So that's what I'm here to do for y'all. So that's my intro in a nutshell. Let's see what's going on in the chat, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this thing rock and roll because I know we're gonna have a lot of fun this evening. I am happy to be back. So let's go ahead and get this. While we're doing this, if you haven't done so already, go ahead, get the likes up, man. Show your appreciation. That's free. Doesn't take anything with all to do that, but go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and take a sip of this right here. And we're going to go ahead and get everything set up on screen. Give me 1 second here. All right, yeah, StreamYards, they've been doing some different updates, so I'm going to make sure I get this done correctly so we don't mess anything up here. And let me share my screen here. And let me make sure it's being displayed properly on my phone and changing and going back as I need it to. Let me give me 1 second here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's definitely changing. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into this right here. So I am Eric Carr, your success concierge, and today we're doing a case study on Elon Musk, and we're talking about standing on business. So let's get started. And my precursor here is, this is just factual public information. I want to be as accurate as possible, so that's what we're going to do here. And we're just going to do this from an image consulting perspective, like myself. But we're going to definitely talk about Mr. Musk, his history, and some things. and we're gonna go ahead and get started with that. All right. So Elon Reeve Musk, y'all know what y'all get when you come over here. If there's baby and child pictures, I'm gonna find them. So this is what we have here. He was born 1971, June 28th, Pretoria, South Africa. His mother was a model and dietitian. She was born in Canada and raised in South Africa. His father, like this is an interesting thing. Like when you see this, his father was a businessman, excuse me, electromechanical engineer, a pilot, a sailor, a consultant, and an emerald dealer, right? And so, he very much has a diverse and interesting background from a family standpoint. Dad was a property developer, owned a Rivali, a rent property, partly owned a rental lodge in the Tivati Private Nature Reserve. He has siblings, you brother and sister, as you see, four paternal half siblings. But his dad made a portion of money, doing three emerald mines. But his dad was also on the Pretoria City Council, and he was, anti-apartheid. He was considered very liberal. And Elon and his siblings at that time shared some of his liberal political views. And as you see, as we progress into life, like his life going forward, you see he carried over with a lot of that. His maternal grandfather was born in America, did time, but American born Canadian, excuse me. And he also took his family on historical trips in the airplane, and he died while Elon was a toddler. So they would go to like Australia and Africa on a single engine plane. And, he described some of those trips like Lord of the Flies. I don't know if any of y'all have ever read that book. I mean, they don't really do that like they used to. Of course, I read it. There's a movie about it, so you should definitely go check it out. But it's Lord of the Flies. It's about some children, they or young people. They get into this particular area, and it becomes very tribal, very bullying like. It's an interesting read and an interesting movie as well too. So you definitely check that out if you haven't done so. We're readers over here. All right. So when Elon was in his teens, his parents divorced, and he chose to live with his dad, something that he would later regret. Elon it's funny because Elon had a mouth on him back then, and he kind of still does. And so sometimes his mouth would get into trouble. So one time he got into an altercation, and some boys beat him up and threw him down the concrete steps. And his father, he says his father berated him for an hour, call him worthless, and said, why are you, coming down to having me come down to the hospital? And his dad said, the boy who Elon was insulting or messing with had possibly lost his father to suicide. And he said Elon had a tendency to call people stupid, something that he kind of still does to this day. All right. He enrolled in private school after that. But, like we said, we're over here, we readers. So Elon Musk was an avid reader. He attributes a lot of his success to having, read Lord of the Rings, the Foundation series, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And even as a young man at 10, he started developing internet interest in computing and video games. He taught himself how to program in VIC 20, which using the manual, reading the user's manual, excuse me. And at 12, he sold his basic game Blastar to PC and Office Technology magazine for $500. So I know we got some people on the line who have some promising, children who's very active and doing a lot of things. So keep encouraging them to do that because it carries over those habits, those actions carry over into adulthood. But he wasn't a good or a great student. He was just, he was good, just not great or exceptional. Um, he attended university in Pretoria for 5 months while he was waiting on his Canadian passport because he did that because he wanted to avoid the South Africa's mandatory military service. And so, in the summer, when he arrived in Canada, him and his second cousin, they worked odd jobs, including working on a farm and a lumber mill. I find it hard to think of Elon on the farm, but I can definitely see him in a hard hat. But he went to Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario in 1990. Late in 92, transferred to University of Pennsylvania. But in '95, he got his Bachelor of Arts in Physics and BS in Economics from the Wharton School. And so one of the things that's interesting too is Musk. He would host parties and wrote business plans, for individuals like Google Books and stuff like that. That's how he helped pay tuition. And a couple of interesting things as well too. He had internships at Silicon Valley with energy storage company Pinnacle Research Institute, which investigated I can't say it, but ultra capacitors for energy storage, as well as rocket science games in Palo Alto. Went to Stanford or applied to the graduate program, but allegedly applied to work at Netscape. I think that was an internet company, but he did not get in. He never did enroll in Stanford. But one of the things is like Elon has a business philosophy. He wants to use strategic partnerships with employees, playing multiple roles about across multiple companies at the same time, which is kind of what you see him do now. And he started businesses in '95 and 1995 for the younger people. But he started those businesses, and he used the sales from his businesses to fund other business ventures. As we always say, you make your money work for you. And so it's interesting to see his path. He's had a couple companies, like one was Zip2, that he founded with his brother, and they marketed like city guides. Remember, like the little maps that would sold on the internet or went on the internet. That's what you have to use or download, and then have maps, directions, as well as yellow pages. And it was a small operation, and he did the coding overnight. And then like it was exposed earlier this year that him and his brother were working in quote unquote a gray area of their immigration status. And they had contracts with newspapers like the Chicago Tribune and New York Times, and they ended up selling it for 370 million to Compaq, which is a computer company. And based on his 7% ownership, Elon Musk got $22 million off that. Then, still to this day, we know this company, PayPal, and it was actually X.com, which is a financial service company and email payment company, and he used 12 million of that from his previous company, that $22 million settlement. I mean, not 22 million sale. He used that to fund that, but X.com had 200K customers in the initial months, and it's interesting. Elon likes the name X, and he likes to have an email e@x.com, which is possibly why he changed Twitter's name to X. But here's one thing that came up: investors felt like Musk was inexperienced, and he was replaced as CEO of his company that he founded by Intuit CEO Bill Harris. They eventually, in the 2000, merged with Cofinity Bank because they wanted to avoid competition with this company called PayPal. So there was a merger of there. Um, Musk, became the CEO, forcing the Cofinity CEO to resign. But then in 2000, because of lack of business cohesiveness, the board replaced Musk with this. So he's getting fired left and right. In 2001, company was renamed PayPal and became the service that we know and understand of today. But in 2002, Musk, they sold to eBay for 1.5 billion in stock. Elon Musk owned 11%, so he netted 176 million from that. So again, using that same strategy uh, to continue to fund his other business ventures. And you see these people, some people like him, some people don't, and he's getting ousted from some of his own companies. All right. So then 2001 founded SpaceX and the Mars Society, and they want to uh, expand travel and growth on Mars. And so in 2001, he went to Russia and he wanted to buy some decommissioned rockets to use that. And they thought he was amateurish. So he went there. They didn't make the deal. And that was in October 2001. A few months later, they were going to offer him 8 million a rocket. And so Musk didn't like that. He felt that was kind of expensive. So he took 100 million of his own money, and that's how he started and founded SpaceX. And he wanted to build affordable rockets. And SpaceX did not do well when it first started. I know we got some people here who live not that far and always hear testings and things going on in that area. But he attempted to launch in 2006 his Falcon 1. It didn't make it into orbit. In like 2008, after another failed attempt, it continued failures. The company was and Musk were almost going to go bankrupt, but they received a commercial resupply to resupply the NASA space station. They were supposed to have 12 flights there, and they received 1.6 billion on that. And in 2012, 4 years later, his spacecraft docked with the International Space Station. And since that time, he's been able to, or his organization has been able to make space travel more reusable. You've seen recently he's done videos, or they shown where they had a launch. I can't remember how long ago it was, but the spacecraft came back and landed on a barge on the water, and then another one it landed recently back onto the platform. And so he got in 2024, earlier this year, he got another 840 million dollar contract. This was to deorbit the International Space Station once it's done with its lifespan. All right. So then let's go to Starlink. Starlink started 2015. Um, he wanted to put satellites up to help with internet, and so in May 2019, he had 60 satellites up. And he also, in 2022, when the conflict in Ukraine, sent Starlink terminals to Ukraine so they could have access. In 2022, spent 80 million to provide 20,000 satellite terminals to Ukraine and free data. Also, recently he did that with some of the disasters here, but he was spending 400 million uh, to support internet there. And so he Russia didn't like that too much, but that's what it was. All right, so then Tesla started in 2003. It was formerly Tesla Motors. It was founded by Barton Eberhard and Mark Tappering. And so the thing about Tesla, it named after Nikola Tesla, but Musk started investing in 2004, made a 6.35 million investment, and then they had a financial crisis again, trouble, issues, challenges. Musk became CEO after that. As a result, Musk was a founder. They designated him a co-founder through the settlement. But in 2008, he started delivering the Roadster vehicle. Delivered 2,500 units. 2012, the Model S. 2015, the Model X. 2017 Model 3 launched, and then 2020 it became the best-selling plug-in electric, and then in 2021 became the first electric vehicle to sell 1 million units globally. The Model Y became the best-selling vehicle in 2023. They unveiled the Optimus robot, and then as you see right here, the Cybertruck. It came delivered in 2023, although it was unveiled in 2019. Now, me personally, I'm not necessarily a fan of the vehicles, but it is technology that is working. People seem to like it, enjoy it, and love it. So, cheers to success with that as well too. So, they had IPO as you see here. Um, they reached a trillion in market cap, and he used 10% of the Tesla stock, right around 16.4 billion, to purchase Twitter, now X. Other business ventures like Solar Cities, to do solar panels. So that company is actually the second largest provider of solar power systems in the U.S. Built, the largest solar production plant, 3 times the size of any other one, and Tesla acquired it to help with building batteries to do Tesla Energy. You see that in a lot of the homes they have out here. All right. Neuralink, this is like really, really controversial. I think I did the wrong one, but Neuralink, excuse the slide, excuse what it says. But this is some of the brain implanting technology. Initially, It was to help individuals who had spinal issues or degenerative issues be able to walk and move. And then there's some other things with brain hackings that some people are not for, but it's an interesting thing. Now this is the one with the slides. It's the Boring Company here. They were doing tunnels. Hasn't been as successful. They do have a tunnel Tesla only um, in Las Vegas, and you can see it. Like I've seen videos of it as well in LA. But he had tunneling projects that was canceled in LA and Chicago. But initially, he wanted to do is build these tunnels and then start having a high speed transport with that. All right. Of course, everyone knows Twitter or X. Elon Musk purchased that. And the thing is, the reason why he did it because he was want to promote free speech, and that's one thing he's been very adamant about as well too. The stakeholders they didn't really like that, and I think his purchase of Twitter has allowed individuals to have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more speech. A lot of the individuals who was previously banned they were not. They were reinstated and allowed to have their voice again. One thing that even as an image consultant, I feel like people they definitely need their the freedom of press, freedom to speak, or the town square, so to speak. So the stakeholders they pushed a lot back on that, but it was kind of what they call a hostile takeover. What happens is if like you watch Wolf of Wall Street or Wall Street with Gordon Gekko, is like companies will individuals will go in and buy stock, and then they then control the board, and they make decisions based on that. But thus far, Twitter has been losing money. It's lost 79% of its value. It's yet to be seen what's going to transpire with that. I mean, there's always mergers, there's always other things. I think a lot of the loss is due to advertising revenue. But one thing that Elon Musk was able to do, he was able to cut the fat a lot at that organization and still be able to provide the high level of service that they have. Other things, Hyperloop, and I didn't know this till I started doing this research, but he was part of the company that created Chat GPT, and he founded XAI to try to compete with Chat GPT, but also to the Hyperloop, which it was supposed to be high speed trains underground, but in a vacuum tube, which if that's what they used to have at the banks where you go to the drive through and it just sucks a tube up really, really fast. That was the concept for this train. Some people did not feel that was safe. He actually has a company town in Austin. In 2020, he acquired 2.5 billion acres of land. It's called Snellbrook. He had main plans to build this town. His ex-girlfriend was involved. He's had a lot of them. And Kanye West, they were involved in that. And so at the time in 2023, they had a population of 12 and they want to establish a school and university. So it's called Snellbrook there. All right, here we go. Here we go. I know y'all go. This is the interesting part, U.S. politics. So, when Elon Musk, he was in California, he was an independent voter. All right, and so he had donated equally to both the Democrats as well as the Republicans, especially in states where he had vested interest. Now, in the late 2010s, he started shifting primarily to donating to Republicans. But in 2016, he voted for Hillary Clinton, and he has come for her since that time. In 2020, he endorsed Andrew Yang, mainly because he wanted universal basic income. He also endorsed Kanye West, but ultimately he ended up voting for Joe Biden. All right. And in 2022, he said he can no longer support the Democrats, said they're part of hate and division. He supported Ron DeSantis and had Twitter Spaces where he hosted Ron DeSantis on there. Also supported Vivek Ramaswamy as VP, and then as you see here, he was vocally supportive of Donald Trump, and he's actually going to be part of his administration himself and Vivek. And I actually like this move. This actually has been done before. Um, it's called Department of Government Efficiency. I can't remember. I was listening to it earlier today, and they were just talking about something similar was done by two retired senators, and it was done actually during the Obama administration. but it looked at ways to trim the fat and make governments more efficient, something Elon Musk has done with his companies and his organizations. So it was done during the Obama administration, but again, in that particular time, governments have liked to spend money, right? And so we'll see if the ideas will be good as well as well they will actually be implemented because there's a lot of fat in the government system as well too. But then he was involved in international politics. You know, he had a strong relationship with China, just because China he has a factory there, and so he they produced some of his vehicles there, and he cheered for the Chinese government and the Chinese people, and he did the opposite for the U.S. And so another controversial thing too. This was in 2022. I'm not sure if he had completed his purchase of Twitter yet at the time, but he wrote for a publication that was for internet censorship in China. That was not his particular stance, but he wrote an article there. Also advocated Taiwan becoming a special administrative zone for China. Some of the Taiwanese lawmakers didn't like that. Advocated for peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Said Russia should get Crimea, and Ukraine should adopt a neutral status and just reject their bid for NATO. All right, and so uh, he made controversial, criticized like the Hamas war. He allowed certain things to go on accounts about different comments. He's been meeting with Netanyahu, meeting with Putin, criticized the UK Prime Minister, and then so the Wall Street Journal earlier this year pointed out that he's had contact with some of these individuals as well too, which, in my opinion, it makes sense because he's a businessman. He's wanting to do business in these particular places. But at this point, because Elon is the richest person in the world, he's standing on business. So he kind of does a lot of things he wants. He's impulsive like that, but he does do those type of things. This right here, this is one of the longest sections I had to write because, man, Elon is involved in controversy. So SEC has sued him for, talking about how he funded, uh, was securing funds to take Tesla private, and SEC fined Musk and Tesla 20 million each. They had a picture of him like on a Joe Rogan podcast. He was smoking something. He said it wasn't weed, and so he said was mocking that. But because he has federal government contracts, he's had to take random drug tests. He owns Tesla, but he also owns a private jet as well too. So he's using a lot of fossil fuel, and so they get on him for that. Insider training with him and his brother. Again, we talked about Neuralink earlier. Some people have some issues with some of the animal trials that goes on with that, some ethics as it relates to that, and then some of the things like he's been accused of a lot is too just companies that benefit himself, and so that was some of the investors feel that way when he makes decisions. But then let's go to some of the COVID-19 things as well too. So Musk supported alternative treatments, and he refused to shut down his factory and kind of forced his workers to go back to work. Right, told them if y'all don't go back, you're gonna lose your benefits, you're gonna lose your time, all those type of things. The Tesla was gonna create ventilators, but they ended up donating BiPAP and CPAP machines to NYC. At the time, he was against taking the vaccine, but him and his children who were eligible, he expressed that he did do that in December 2021. He was against the mandates themselves. He felt like the science was good, but that's his opinion. But then shortly thereafter, he called for prosecution of Anthony Fauci. So Musk, he's an interesting guy, but he can be a little bit erratic. He's been accused of like anti-Semitism. I mean, he's been said to have promoted some of George Soros conspiracy theories. There's been some back and forth with Twitter where they, different people have made various comments and he may involve himself. And Disney CEO Bob Iger, he said that was the reason why he stopped advertising on X, and that's what led to the infamous comments that you see in the thumbnail. Musk said, "Hey, you're not gonna blackmail me for money in advertising, and if you think you can go f yourself." So that's what he said, but he used the expletive. But again, in 2024, earlier this year, he did go to Auschwitz. For those you don't know, that's the concentration camp location. He was there with like a survivor, a Jewish rabbi, and Ben Shapiro, who is, I believe, is a Jewish podcaster, conservative, and you see him here with them there. All right, but he's had a lot of legal matters as well since 2022. I mean 2020. Elon loves the ladies, so some flight attendants have accused him of inappropriate behavior. He's paid settlements of 250. This is not really on him, but in April 2023, the Virgin Islands government submitted one Musk to provide documents because they were suing J.P. Morgan Chase for allegedly making money off the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking. All right. He's had custody battles with former girlfriend. He's had a defamation lawsuit from someone who was involved in a street ball on for allegedly for neo-Nazi extremists. Um, SEC is constantly suing him and bringing him in to testify and answer subpoenas. One thing is a judge did rescind the pay package that Tesla had to pay, which was $55 billion. Earlier this year, interns and other women have been suing him from SpaceX, calling for harassment after they were fired. Former Twitter execs and others were saying that he didn't give them their money. uh, Investors have, advertisers have been boycotting X. And then, of course, recently in 2024, October, don't because I know people watch this later, uh, his PAC was providing money for alleged lottery. They called it unlawful because he was doing lottery for, I guess, registered voters or whatnot. All right. But he has an interesting persona. Like he's eccentric, spontaneous, but he makes impactful decisions. He always had a mouth on him, so he also makes controversial statements. Some interesting thing, if you like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. connected with him, and you know part of how he portrayed his character is based on Elon. And if you think about it, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, that's Elon Musk as well too. And he actually made a cameo here. You see him with Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow in Iron Man 2. He's also been in like Machete Kills, Why Him, Men in Black International, Simpsons, South Park, and Big Bang Theory. He's got a foundation as well too. Um, and it's interesting. Like I put this clip, this note here. Indeed, charity begins at home because you know uh, a lot of his foundation's funds were connected to him, his family, and his businesses. But it was initially started to provide solar power to disaster areas, support research, and including space exploration, pediatrics, renewable energy, AI, and then he had a pledge of the give pledge, which a lot of celebrities or wealthy people have, which is to give away the majority of their wealth during their lifetime or after their passing. Um, uh, Wanted to donate, 100 million to improve carbon capture technology, which is essentially helping eliminate greenhouse gases. Donates money to research. Donates to establish higher education university in Texas. Um, and they say, like I said, this is the controversy. He has a philanthropy score of 1 because they allege he's only giving away 1% of his wealth. But 1% of 100 billion is still a lot of money. All right. He's received awards, like you see. He's been Time Man of the Year, one of the influential people in Time, 4 times. 2022 elected National Academy of Engineering. Uh, some of these other things for transportation, space exploration. It's in different languages, a little bit difficult to pronounce. He received an honorary doctorate in engineering from Yale in 2015. But he became a U.S. citizen in 2022. He practices Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so that's him and his gi. Um, he plays video games. He allegedly has at least 12 children. It could be more. Elon loves the children. He's been married a few times. He does have a transgender son, which they've been kind of going back and forth with each other, but they're now estranged. But let's get into like what my assessment from an image consultant standpoint. He's preppy, grunge, skateboard, corporate. And what I mean by that is, you see right here, he's not going to go veer too far. The level of expression from his outfit is going to come from his shirt. Like, he's going to wear a graphic tee, a shirt like this, but then he's going to have a sports coat or something like that, and even a simple ball cap. You're not going to see him in athletic gear. You're not going to see him jersey. He's going to keep it simple. Rarely you're going to see him in a suit unless he's going to be some part of some type of special presentation, court, such and so forth. Behavior, impulsive. His behavior is impulsive. He's rash, and so sometimes people who are uber intelligent, they have different challenges with social skills. But let's look at it. He's put himself in position to be successful. He stands on what he says. He may change his opinion. He makes decisions, impactful decisions. And then digital footprint. You see him talking, and you see him on X. That's what he does. So that's him in a nutshell. I mean, he's very eccentric. He kind of does what he likes. He asks for forgiveness rather than permission, and that's why some things he does you're gonna like, some things he does you're not gonna like. Sometimes he may have to take a second thought and retract about that, but that's based on him producing outcomes, him being productive. Because as I stated in the intro, a lot image is appearance, behavior, communication, digital footprint. And the B is mainly behavior, and behavior is not just how you act, but it's also what you produce and the outcomes that you're getting. So he's done pretty well for himself producing outcomes. Additionally, a lot of things that he businesses he started, he uses his own money, and that's what allows him to stand on business. So thank y'all for tuning in to the case study. Like, comment, subscribe. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, providing you the vision, tools, and opportunity for your desired success. And thank you for tuning in to the case study. All right, so I know I was a little bit long with that. Let's see what's going on in the chat. See what kind of questions, feedback we got here. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what we got here. So let's see some of the different comments right here. All right, before we get into the questions, entrepreneurs, happy to support the channel. This is information for successful entrepreneurs like myself. Absolutely. See, thing is, entrepreneurs, like a lot of people, they see the finished product. They don't see the work and other stuff that people put in before they get to that particular space. So yeah, thank you for that. They fail, they learn, they grow, and they do some other things as well too. Let's see what else have we got. Cool World Travelers. Then we got very controversial for sure. Neuralink. Yes, a lot of people is they're you know Elon has supported a little bit like transhumanism as well too, and those type of things. And so some people just can't jive with that. Transhumanism is people want to have the mold of man as well as machine. Again, some people they're not for that. Some people want that. It's just interesting. I haven't got to the point where I want something implanted in my body. So I like what I've been endowed with from the creator at this stage. I don't think it was going to change, but I never say never. But that's where I'm at right now. So it's a lot of people agree with that stance as well too. Let's see what else we got here. And then the free speech. Yeah, absolutely. Free speech. Yeah, so here's the thing about free speech. Free speech is not just speech you agree with, but it's also speech you disagree with as well too. And so, yeah, I mean I think people should have a square to do that. We've been seeing a lot of controversy of people saying, "Oh, this is misinformation. This misinformation." Well, all that depends on who you ask, right? So if you talking the Cowboys, they're gonna tell you the Eagles not good and vice versa. Are they misinformation or is it a difference in opinion, right? If you ask someone who's from religion A, they're going to say religion B is incorrect. That's why they chose religion A. Is that misinformation or is that just people having a difference of opinion? All right. And so, people, they should be able to make decisions for themselves and make those type of things. All right, cool. So I definitely appreciate that. Let's see, we've been going a little long because that's a huge thing. But let's see, we got some time for ask some questions. Let me also put the link in here in case anybody wants to come up here and chat for a bit, ask questions because we keep the floor open for that. Thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you definitely hit the like button. I know y'all probably gonna ask me some good questions because that's what y'all do. We definitely appreciate that as well too. So let's see what we have going on over here. I know we have some good ones. Yeah, I know y'all gonna do that. I already know. All right, this question here. How do you feel Elon will perform his role in government? I kind of answered this earlier in case you missed it. I think he'll do well. Here's the thing, right? This is a controversial take, not just with Elon Musk, but also too with business people who get into politics, right? Depending on what they do, right? One thing about business versus government, as a business owner, if you have a budget of $100,000, you have to be a good steward of that $100,000. You got to make sure it grows, make sure you're efficient, make sure you're doing things to make yourself profitable, right? Now, a government agency, they in a business, if they don't do well with that $100,000, they're going to go out of business. So if you've been successful, that means you managed whatever money that you've come into and done very, very well at it. And Elon, he's had some ups and downs, but he's able to trim fat, so to speak. That's the nature of a successful business person. Now, governments are inefficient because there is no pressure to make money. If government, if you give them $100,000 and they are not efficient with it, what do? They go tax the citizens and get another. Excuse me. They go tax the citizens and get another $100,000. So again, I think he will do well in finding ways to be efficient. Whether those things get implemented, because again, we live in a system in the U.S. of checks and balances. So you have Congress, you have the executive, and the which is part of the legislative. You have the executive and the judicial. So in these changes, they're going to have to pass by and get through that particular phase of that. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. What are your thoughts on Kamala's campaign being 20 million in the hole? Well, it is what it is, right? The thing is, we talked about business being efficient, government being efficient. They raised like $1 billion, still 20 million in the hole. I think it's coming out now because part of political campaigns, they have to talk about what they disclose the money to, for, how, and you see how that turned out. But that's not. It hasn't been used as well as it should. And let's see, we got a question here in the chat. Give me 1 second right here. But yeah, so she hasn't been necessarily, been efficient with that. And let's see this other question right here from Empire News. Philanthropy score. Would love to hear more on this. Is that like a social credit score for ultra wealthy? It's not like a social credit score. It's almost like a rating, right? So just like the Better Business Bureau gives ratings, or a restaurant gives hotels and restaurants ratings. So I don't know what the scale is. I don't know if it goes up to 5, it goes up to 10, or whatnot. But when someone has, I guess, an abundance of money, right? They may say, okay, how much of it are they actually giving away, right? And so I would probably need to do a little bit more research into that. But the philanthropy score is about how well they're doing with that. So I wouldn't say it's like a social credit score for the ultra wealthy, because Elon Musk having a one is not going to impact him other negatively, other than how he's viewed in the public. It's just going to be uh, how the public views him. There's no negative impact. It's almost like your health score, right? your health score directly impacts you. You know, some people might say, "Oh, well, you're not as healthy as you could be," but it's nothing like a social credit score for the ultra wealthy. Good question. Let's see what we got here, man. You know what I'm thinking, like of doing a double header, because let's see here. Let's see what we got here. Uh, let's see what other questions we got. Yeah. So this questions like this is why I want to do a double header because I have another case study. I haven't quite completed it, but this question right here, right? Because we've been kind of talking about free speech and mainstream media, but it says, why do you feel there's a lot of distrust of mainstream media versus independence, and how would you fix it? Well, my personal opinion, like if they called me in, it would, you know, I think a lot of distrust of mainstream media is because it's a monopoly. You have a lot of a small few bit of companies owning a lot of organizations, right? And then it's interesting, like you can turn on five channels, five different channels, or even channels from all different markets. You can go on the internet and look at 5, 10, 15 different websites. The logo changes, but the story in the message is identical, right? And so it's like, okay, do all these people feel the same? Whereas you have independent media, and that's not just in politics, that's not just in news. We're also seeing this in sports as well too. You have independents who do a couple of things that these other individuals don't do. One, they provide a difference of opinion, and they can go long, they can go short. They're not beholden to certain individuals. The other thing is like, and this is one of the things I brought up with Shannon Sharp when I did his. He treats some of his Shay things like he does on TV. So here, someone puts a question in there, their comment, I acknowledge it. Those individuals don't really talk or interact. So people like being able to interact, be acknowledged, and hear that, and also to hear different standpoints, different perspectives. If I know someone in New York, I can call them on the phone and say, "Oh, what happened? Were you here?" And they're going to tell it to me straight, or they're going to tell me their perspective versus what we see on the news. And because I've been places, been around people, I've seen the inaccuracies of that. And so that's why there is a lot of distrust with that. And I was thinking about doing a double header, not today, maybe come back tomorrow. If y'all want me to come back, I definitely want to. Whether we do it tomorrow, or do another day, but go ahead and put that part in the chat as well too, because I got a good one. I guess I'll go ahead and let the cat out the bag. I was going to do Joe Rogan as well too, to talk about independent versus mainstream as well. They not like us, but not quite finished with that. But if y'all want it, we'll go ahead and do it. But yeah, so how would I fix it? I probably wouldn't, because again, like there's a lot of overhead and a lot of fat in that particular space. They got they big fancy studios. You paying. I just saw like some of these networks like ESPN, CNN, MSNBC laying off. You paying them people 20 million, 7 million, 3 million, and they're not generating views beyond that. You have people on YouTube who get more views than the CNNs, the Foxes, and those type of places. Shannon Sharp did good on TV, but he really blew up. Probably he may have gotten more views on his club Shay than his other thing. So how would I fix it? I wouldn't. I would just say, hey, this is the way, the direction that the market is going, and this is what you need to adapt to it. But some people, they own something that's their baby, and they're gonna ride that thing till the wheels fall off. So I'm not sure it's fixable at this point. I think there's a place for it because again, they have resources, they can bring things together, but it should be just like, do we have chain restaurants? Yeah, but we also have independent restaurants as well too. So we have the large businesses, but then we have the small businesses. I think there's a place for everyone. It just, that monopoly of mainstream, I think that's going to be coming to an end very shortly, because you have independent individuals who can give perspective, can interact, and do those type of things as well too. So definitely. Thank you. Excellent case study. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let's see what other questions that we have right here. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good business question right here. How do I have a long-term sustainable business? All right. So this is a great question, and I actually love this question. And this is something that I work on with my clients, the individuals that I work with, because again, I want you to be successful. I want you to be around. So a couple of things you have to think about. All right. what business are you in now, right? Who are your ideal customers? I've harped on that. I've spoken on that. Like, you have to identify your ideal customers and what are their pain points. So, question number one is, what business are you in right now? Who are your markets? Who are your customers? Now, this right here, this second question, this is the one that gets people. Question number two, what business do you need to be in, right? So let me just break this down for you, right? So let's look at a company like Blockbuster, right? So some of y'all may remember, some of you may not, but Blockbuster, when people used to go get videos and movies that came out, they would have to go to a place. They wouldn't buy them. Sometimes they would rent them, and so they would go to the video store, rent them. Hopefully, it's available, and then you go home, watch it, and return it. Right. So that was the market at that particular time. So there was a company called Netflix. Right. Netflix wanted to partner with Blockbuster. Blockbuster said no because they were thinking of the business they were in today. And Netflix was like, oh, well, we want to eliminate fees. We want to, you know, make it easier for them to avoid fees, right? So Netflix, let's talk about how they started. They started going out to Blockbuster customers. You would send out and get like 3 or 4 movies. You watch them for as long as you wanted to. You send it back, and then they send you more, right? So one kept overhead down from stores, and customers liked it because they didn't have to have fees, all right, for being late, right? But that was the business they were in. But then Netflix was like, okay, what is the business that we need to be in the future? So then Netflix, as you see, as we have now, they started streaming, right? So now, because we're in the internet based, software versus hardware, internet based. So now they started streaming, right? And then they're like, okay, what other things that we need to do? Now Netflix is not only a content distributor, but they're also a content creator. So that was the kind of evolution and journey with that as well too. So yeah, so when you're looking at your business, look at where you're at right now and where you need to be because markets change, markets shift, and those who are proactive, those who are prepared, they're going to have a long-term sustainable business because they're not thinking about the sunshine today. They're thinking about the rain, the wind, the snow tomorrow, and they're able to move, pivot, and address those type of things going forward. So I really love questions like that. So that is a great question. And again, I know we're talking about this at a high level, but this is things we would get into in a consultation as we're going through your business plan, as we're going through some other things as well. So, all right, let's see here. I know y'all like this here, so let me do this. I think we got a good question because y'all have done pretty good on. I just saw it. Y'all done pretty good on the questions. Not too many political ones. Let's see. I think we're gonna get this one. I saw it. Let me find it. Maybe I can't find it. I just saw the question pop up in the queue. Let's see here. Okay, this is a good one right here. All right. How would you advise both sides post election going forward? All right. So this is the thing, right? You have, I guess, both sides right now. It could be multiple sides. There are more sides as well too. So to the winning side, you have a mandate, and the people are expecting you to execute and deliver on that what you've done. And that's kind of rare in politics because usually politicians they promise 10 things, do one or two, and then say we can do better. But I don't think that is going to be acceptable going forward with individuals. They want outcomes, right? And so they're expecting individuals to deliver. We live in an internet age, so they can see what you promised them yesterday, and they expect you to deliver it. If you don't deliver it, they're gonna get rid of you. So to the winning side, they have given you a mandate for you to execute on what you said you were going to execute on. All right. To the other side, now it says both sides, but it can be more than one side because again, most people in the U.S. they think of Democrat, Republicans. You got independents, you got all types of factions, and you have factions in between that right there too. So to the side or sides that did not win, I would say, okay, work on your messaging, right? Obviously, your message didn't resonate with enough people. Enough people didn't want what you had to offer, and you have to work on that. You have to work on one, what is your platform going to be, and how is that going to benefit a majority of people or the people that you want to vote for you and support you. So you're going to have to look at that, and also to message it, package it, support it, and be authentic with it, so people can get on board with that right there. So that is my feedback for both sides as well too. You got to execute, and you got to work on what your platform is, and what your message is, and make sure that's going to resonate with the individuals. Because if you didn't win, it didn't resonate enough with it. And so I'm the type of person, we focus on outcomes. So either you got it done or you didn't. If you didn't get it done, let's look at why you didn't get it done and take some action steps to do that. And of course, I know this is easier said than done, but that such is life. It is what it is. You know, I'm a success concierge. Such is life. So that's what we got to do here. Let's see if we got any more comments. Um, so yeah, it said please do a part two. So what I was gonna do is I was gonna do like really focus on like the difference between mainstream media and why ratings are down, right? So NBA ratings are down, CNN ratings are down, MSNBC ratings are down. It's a lot of people gnashing the teeth, stomping feet. So I may do that tomorrow. Stay tuned. Check my social media, because if I can finish up the things I want to do, I may come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, and do that particular case study. But again, it was going to be Joe Rogan, They Not Like Us, because again, I'm going to really dig into why mainstream media, and I also too celebrities in general, are losing their influence, right? So as an image consultant, like people, like I said, they just look at their appearance, but we talk about outcomes, right? So if you're not getting outcomes, that means either your appearance needs to change. Well, the thing is, there's a lot of well dressed, well put together, well speaking individuals, right? So that may not be the problem. Your behavior, okay, your behavior is not just how you act, it's also the outcomes you produce. But here's the other thing: how do you make people feel? How do people feel about your presence? How do people feel about your message? How are they receiving you? That part is communication. So we'll definitely have a part two. It may be this week. It may be a pre-Thanksgiving thing, because your success concierge may be traveling, spending some time with family. But we'll definitely do that soon. I'm very excited to do that. Like, I have a lot of different things coming up. I get inspiration from a lot of different places, whether it's different stories of things I see, different things when I'm talking and interacting with people, different questions I get asked as well too. Yeah, so we'll definitely do that. Stay tuned for that. But like, if we don't have any more questions, hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. We coming up on fall Thanksgiving. I'm thankful and grateful for everyone that tuned in. We appreciate y'all checking us out, spending a little time with me. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and I want to thank y'all again for tuning in. Salute and good night. Peace, everybody. Have a great evening.